And now we're live on YouTube. Hey everybody. How are you doing today? It's Thursday. You checked your stock portfolio recently? I hope you guys don't have too many normie stocks, because normie stock portfolios are not good right now. I'm going to have to see what I'm going to do with this show, because I have a lot of, Kanye's been talking about, he got in trouble. Yay, got in trouble. And now they're saying something else about him today, which I was going to put in the title, but then I wrote the title and I thought, oh, no, don't use that word, because they said he likes Hitler. So I was going to say, but then I thought, I probably shouldn't put Hitler in the title, because the algorithm and the monetization, we don't want to suggest anybody likes Hitler, but some people do. So that's what I'm here to tell you. I have all kinds of information from Jewish people about Jewish people that relates to what Kanye West said, but I'm super gun shy to discuss any of it. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that we can't have an honest conversation, because I tried that like last week. It didn't work out. They said it was hate speech. So Kanye West is still having problems. I suggest that his career is basically over. He might like Hitler. Do you think? Have you guys? There's a movie about Hitler that people who like Hitler have seen. That turns him in. It's like a pretty convincing documentary. Okay, I gotta get my chat working. Called The Greatest. I believe it's called The Greatest Truth Never Told. It's a documentary that presents an alternative history to World War II, one in which Hitler was really cool. Now, I know some people see that documentary and then they think that Hitler is really cool. So anyway, that's what they're saying about Kanye West. Might be true. And then some people are critical of me because I said Kanye West. Well, I kind of said Kanye West deserves to be canceled. I might have kind of said that. Like I said, he dug his own grave. But people are critical of me for saying that. But I can explain further what I mean by that. He didn't choose his words very well. Now, did he? I don't think. It's just not going to work out for him. But I'll show you what they're saying about it. What they're saying in the news. And when I say they, I don't mean they like that. I'll let you guys know I mean like that. They say saying globalists. Somebody tweeted, it was a popular tweet that says if you use a globalist in a pejorative sense, that's anti-Semitic and that needs to start being called out. So we'll add that to the list of things that you can't say, like New World Order and lizard people and interdimensional vampires. Even they're going to come after me for that. If I say interdimensional vampires, they'll say, oh, that's anti-Semitic. I'll be like, who's anti-Semitic? I was talking about interdimensional vampires. Like, who brought Semitism into it? But that's what people what people say, some people. So I'll give you the news today, and then maybe I'll take phone calls. That's what I'll have to do, and see if you guys have anything entertaining to talk about. So hopefully people are prepared for that. I'm going to go over some of the news in as much as I can. I think I probably can't talk to you about some of these numbers and statistics I have. It's just interesting to me. Like, I see patterns in things. As an autistic person, I'm into statistics and patterns. And when you look at it like statistically, Kanye West wasn't totally wrong, in a way, but you can't say that because somebody just got banned for saying that. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, if you look at it statistically, there are some things, but I don't know. Can't bring up statistics. Statistics can be bad, but there's a study. There are also statistics that show that Jewish people are superior if you're into statistics, and you have to wonder, like they say that Jewish people, Ashkenazi Jewish people, are the smartest in the world, and then South Koreans. That's what the book says, the bell curve. So a lot of people will say that to you. If you say Jews are overrepresented, they'll say, "Oh, it's because they're smarter." And maybe, there must be something to it. There must be something to it. I could give you guys all the statistics: Nobel Prizes, chess champions, billionaires. And I could talk about overrepresentation, but it's still wrong for Kanye West to say the Jewish media. It's still wrong to say that, even though, like I said, it is true that Jewish people are overrepresented in certain areas. Like this area, for example. I look around, I'm just saying, like, to me, I'm like, wow, it's just interesting. The most famous people on Twitter, podcasters, a bunch of them happen to be Jewish. It's true. I wonder, I'm like, how, what is that? Because I don't think it's a conspiracy. So then you start to think, oh, maybe they're maybe they are superior. Maybe there's something to that whole chosen people thing. But you look, the biggest accounts. I was thinking of all the names: the Libs of TikTok, Cernovich, Viva Frey, Glenn Greenwald, and then people who are just happen to be part Jewish, who are huge, like Alex Stein, Owen Benjamin. Owen Benjamin used to be. Then people like David Seaman. These people all ended up being pretty influential, and they're alternative. Then there's Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin. Wherever you look, there just happen to be people who happen to be identified or be able to be identified as Jewish. And it's interesting. But sue me. It's interesting. You think, why is that? But then you read scholarly articles that say, oh, it's because they're smarter. And then you think, oh, maybe. Then you feel kind of inferior, actually. Like, oh, I wish I had some of that going on. So thanks for joining me for the show. It's controversial while trying not to be. I'll play the intro and we can get started, and then we can talk. I'll talk about whatever's in the news. Thanks for joining me. You guys are cool. Thanks for supporting the show. The only source of truth on the internet. All right. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I bring you the news, the real news. No, I mean it is really crazy. People are throwing out names like Jerry Seinfeld, of course, and then his partner is even funnier. The Larry David, obviously. So yeah, I mean huge. And then if you look at like I looked at what Jewish people said about it specifically because I don't want to hear just from neo Nazis. I saw some neo Nazis that were like, "Did you know 40% of billionaires are Jewish?" And I was like, I better fact check that. And then I fact checked it, and I found an article from the Jewish Telegraph Agency, which says that 139 out of 400 on the Forbes 400 are Jewish. So that happens to be true, apparently. Like I said, I don't know if I can share it, but it is true. And 30 of the top 100 happen to be Jewish. But again, I propose it's maybe because they're smarter. It could definitely be that because I don't know how else to explain it actually. Otherwise, I would have to say there was a conspiracy. So I have to say I think it's because they're smarter. So help me out because I have, I'm handicapped in this race. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil and dropping a coffee and a comment if you'd like. That's how we get support for the show, in addition to tips on Rockfin, which you can do. Both of those you can do after the show is over as well. And then I'll read it on the show when the next show comes. So buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And then also, it's getting close to Christmas time. Check out our t-shirts at truthclothing.io. Check that stuff out. So yeah, what was I going to tell you? Okay, so I told you a few things. And it is true. So while I say so, but I also say that Kanye could have said things differently. The problem is when you say the Jewish media, that is what the Nazis said. The Nazis did say that. So it is. So when people say, "Oh, you're being like Hitler and stuff," for saying the Jewish media, it is because the Nazis did say that. And some people say, "Oh, well, some people say, oh, they were right," but they did say that they did talk about like Jewish control of media and like Jewish influence in popular culture and stuff like that. They did talk about that before the Holocaust. So that's why what Kanye said for some people is, hurtful. It can be, apparently. So, which is why I said that he should have apologized like a normal person would. He's not a normal person. And that's not to, so it's not to say that he didn't make some very relevant point. I have a Jewish friend of mine. I was like, what do you think of what Kanye said? He was like, well, he made some good points, but he said it the wrong way, So, and I was like, oh, really? You thought he made some good points? So that's from an actual person who happens to be Jewish and who heard what Kanye said, who said that, it was worth pointing out that, well, it is true that black music he did make some good points that black music has lots of like violence against black people and that's totally fine, obviously. And then the other part is that if you say things about white people, that's the same thing, then you can say that. But in my personal opinion, I think the things about white people are bad too. Like for me, I guess being kind of like a liberal, I think what Kanye West said, like in the extent that it could be harmful, was wrong. And the stuff people say about white people is also wrong. Neither should be censored. Neither should be censored. I don't agree with any censorship. Nobody should be censored, especially if they're just speaking their mind, right? What they believe, if they're not lying on purpose, right? If people are lying on purpose, well, I don't know. But if they're just whatever, well, I don't believe in censorship. Everybody knows that. But I think people should be judged more harshly for anti-racism. That's all. And so therefore, Kanye West is being judged harshly, which, like I said, I think he kind of deserves because of the way he decided to present things. But if he said the same things about white people, he wouldn't be judged, which I think is wrong. That's all. I think that's wrong. I think probably he people should be judged more for being anti-white. And like it shouldn't be that it's like normalized on media and stuff. So I have a clip about that. Yeah, there's nothing anti-Semitic about this clip. It's just a clip showing what can I do? YouTube is so crazy. This guy, I found out, this Asian guy, maybe I won't play the clip. I don't know. I just don't know. Is it worth it, really? Should I really poke the bear? No, I don't know if I want to. But this guy got banned for hate speech, or got a strike for hate speech. Maybe you've seen him before. Tech lead show. This Asian guy who had made some commentary before, which I'd seen about Bitcoin. I believe I saw him make commentary about Bitcoin before. He is popular, and he made a video called "Why Kanye West is Right." Apparently, that's what the screenshot shows. Why Kanye West is right. And then someone shows the Jewish media, where I assume this guy said, oh, there are Jewish people in the media, or something. He probably said, oh, I fact checked what Kanye West said, and it turns out there are some Jewish people in media, or something. I don't know. People in the comments under this tweet say he didn't say anything crazy, but he still got censored for hate speech. So I can't tell you how frustrating it is. I really can't. It's difficult. It's the reason I got off YouTube in the first place. It's like, or that I was off the platform for so long. When you just have to second guess everything you say and everything you play. So I might play you that clip. I might go over some other stuff on Rockfin later in the show, but I think you guys get it. Now, Kanye West is being accused of admiring Hitler. So is that possible? I say, yes, it is possible, but it could be a hit piece too. I'm not sure. So you guys have to decide. But this is an exclusive CNN report. Kanye West has a disturbing history of admiring Hitler, sources tell CNN. So they quote a business executive who worked with West, who claimed that it was an uncomfortable work environment, partially because Kanye used to praise Hitler and say, let's see what it says. Quote, this is this individual, anonymous individual, who apparently has signed a non-disclosure agreement, which he's breaking by reporting to CNN. Quote, he would praise Hitler by saying how incredible it was that he was able to accumulate so much power, and would talk about all the great things he and the Nazi Party achieved for the German people, unquote. And then The executive said West spoke openly about reading Mein Kampf and expressed his admiration for the Nazis and Hitler for their use of propaganda, which actually, the Nazi use of propaganda, a lot of people admired their propaganda, and that's like where we got our propaganda. Like they use the eagle, we use the eagle, we use the same image, we use Nazi imagery for American stuff. So I think Americans actually appreciated. There were a lot of powerful people who appreciated or admired what the Nazis achieved in a certain sense, in the way that they, were able to brainwash everybody. And that's why we recruited a bunch of Nazis to come over here and work for us here in America. And then we came up with programs like MK Ultra that came out of probably Nazi experiments and stuff. So the US government actually has a history of admiring Nazis, when it comes down to it. So if they want to be serious, like Nazis were admired by America and helped create, all kinds of new programs here in the United States, including our fake moon missions. But in any case, they cite that individual and 4 other individuals who said that he originally suggested the title Hitler for his 2018 album that eventually was released as Yay. They do not want to be named, the article says. So several unnamed sources claim that Ye likes Hitler, wanted to call his album Hitler, which as an artist, I do think it's like, it is the ultimate troll. And he is a trolly person. So that would have been like the ultimate, is just to come out with that. Yeah, he's a complicated dude. So does he like Hitler? Maybe. Does Candace Owens secretly like Hitler? I think maybe. That's my conspiracy theory. I think maybe Candace Owens likes Hitler, and that's where Kanye West gets it from. But I'm not 100% sure. She called her latest movie about BLM the greatest lie ever sold. And it just only because it immediately reminded me of the documentary that's pro-Hitler called The Greatest Truth Never Told. I believe that is what it's called, The Greatest Truth Never Told, which you should look for, and you should look. I mean, people should be able to see it. It's an alternative viewpoint about history. Now, I've studied a lot of World War II stuff, and that shouldn't be your only source of information. But for some people, it might be their main source of information about what happened during World War II. And then they might decide they like Hitler. And there are people out there who do like Hitler. There are, I believe neo-Nazis exist. And I believe they're wrong, because I don't think Hitler was cool. He definitely wasn't. Did really terrible things, and then he was on drugs most of the time. And the experiments and stuff that they did were really bad. Nazis were bad. And so I think neo-Nazis are bad, but they're real. They are real. And those people out in California that hang the signs and stuff, they're real. They're real people. So, and even those ones that everybody called feds, the Patriot Front, even those are mostly real people too. Those are not actually feds. Those are actually real people who get together and LARP in military outfits and stuff and flags. They're genuinely actually real people. So I think it's fair to recognize those people exist. And so I do think it's possible that Kanye West likes Hitler. I also think it's possible that Candace Owens secretly likes Hitler, but she's smart enough not to say anything about it. But it's possible because I know people do. Skechers. Apparently, Ye showed up at Skechers. He's trying to sell his shoes to somebody else, and he got thrown out. He showed up with a camera crew and got thrown out of Skechers. So they say he was escorted out of their LA office after he appeared unannounced. So he's looking for, no, I don't think anybody's going to make his shoes, like, I don't think anybody's going to work with him anymore. And people can say, yeah, that proves a point. But on the other hand, he also was rude to Gap and Adidas. Besides what he said about Jewish people, he also was talking shit about those companies. So it seemed like he wanted to get out anyway. But now he wants to work with somebody else. I think he might find it very, very, very difficult considering what he said. So I think his career is effectively over. They did take him. He is no longer a billionaire. So he won't be able to brag much longer about being the richest black person ever. So, yeah, that's Kanye West news. In other news, I told you stocks crashed, Facebook crashed, Amazon crashed. Normies with their stock portfolios are just totally wrecked. Amazon, Apple even was down, but Facebook, Meta, man, you could short that stock. Meta is just a mess. They came out with the metaverse. I looked into the metaverse when the metaverse thing first came out, and I went into it, the metaverse called Decentraland, and I checked it out. I walked around. I went to a festival in a metaverse, Decentraland, which was one of the first ones that people were going to. And I was like, this is boring, really boring, and I don't see it getting that much better. So my thoughts about Facebook going to the metaverse. Well, at first, I think I thought maybe they saw something that I didn't, but at this point, they need to buy one of those big metaverse video games. That's about the only way. The way metaverse works is in video games where people like, I forget what the games are called. There's one called Roblox. And then there's another game that kids play that have big worlds where you can build parts of the world and stuff. Those are metaverses. That's maybe going to work out. But the stuff about people hanging out, like Second Lifestyle, not going to work out. Could have told you that. Jim Cramer apparently was pushing Facebook stock still, or Meta. And so he actually cried on the air today about how wrong he was because Facebook stock went down like 25% or something in the last day or two. So this is him admitting he was wrong. Had like a major moment here on his show.
Free cash flow last year, 9.5 billion, now less than 1 billion. Okay, let me say this about this. I made a mistake here. I was wrong. I trusted this management team. That was ill-advised. Hubris here is extraordinary. And I apologize.
Okay. What did you get wrong?
I had a belief that there was a recognition that there is an amount that you can't spend. Contrast that, for instance, with Jim Farley, who took a project that was his, Argo, and closed it because it was not ready. It was not near enough. This situation is almost a rogue situation. I had thought there would be an understanding that you just can't spend and spend right through your free cash flow. That there had to be some level of discipline, and I didn't get it. But David, what did I get wrong? I trusted them, not myself. For that, I regret. Been in this business for 40 years. I did a bad job. I'm not proud.
You're not alone.
Proud.
You're not alone, Jim. Morgan Stanley today downgrades it for the first time ever to equal weight, target of 105. They call it thesis changing. What happened last?
I think that's fair. I discussed this with my wife, Lisa, because this is all I talked about last night and how disappointed I was, not in them, but myself. I think that's true, was thesis changing. I did believe that there would be some discipline. I emphasized to them, actually, that I expected discipline. But I want to go back again. I made a mistake, and I was wrong. I trusted this management team, and that was ill-advised. And I own that.
It happens.
I appreciate that.
You know,
but
you
I don't
have
like it when it
relationships with people that extend over long periods of time, and you believe what they tell you to some extent. Now, that
But
said,
it was horrifying. Altimeter was right, and I chose to not overlook what Altimeter said.
that was just this week. That was just Monday,
Well,
right? Yeah.
okay, you're right. It's very easy, I think, and Morgan Stanley was right to do that. But I come out here and I try to help people every day, and I failed to help people, and I own that. And was I too close to the company? I did not think the company would be as ill-advised as to spend through what they had.
Well,
without any discipline whatsoever.
As Carl said, you're not alone in being surprised by that. Many are, and that's.
But
what
I don't
stock
really
is gonna
care
be like.
about them.
I
I
get it.
screwed up.
All right. So that's Jim Cramer. Everybody always says the opposite of what he says anyway. He doesn't realize. Some people in the comments let him know, like, hey, chill out. We always just do the opposite of everything you say anyway. So actually keep it up, like you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. The inverse Cramer. I think there is an inverse Cramer. Somebody tried to build an inverse Cramer index fund, like where you can invest again, and somehow they figure out a way to do the opposite of what Jim Cramer says. So you guys know me, I'm short stocks. NASDAQ's been down a lot. NASDAQ in particular. So anyway, that's news. Amazon came out. They were down like 20%. They're back from being 20% down to less than 20% down, but they guided with, or it just looks like, but this week, bad earnings from a number of huge people. So stocks suffering as a result of that, particularly the NASDAQ. So, which is not good for Democrats still. Also not good for Democrats. All right. Is it okay to make fun of people with a stroke? Is it okay to make fun of Kamala Harris? I have a video of Kamala for some humor. Play that for you. Hope everybody's doing good. Here's Kamala.
Your leadership, Mayor. Thank you for the warm welcome. So here's the thing. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right? Just, there's something about and most of us, many of us went to school on the yellow school bus, right? And it's part of our experience growing up. It's part of, a nostalgia and a memory of your leadership, Mayor. Thank you for the warm welcome. So,
all right, there you go. The school bus, the yellow school bus. She's great. Is she going to be president? You can wager on that, on whether Joe Biden's going to make it or not. So Elon Musk is about to take over Twitter. That is a big deal. That is a big deal. Elon Musk is about to take over Twitter tomorrow. He already showed up at Twitter headquarters with a sink and said, let that sink in. And then he said that he met some cool people. So he put out a notification to advertisers who are freaked out that the platform will no longer be safe, I guess. So he wanted to assuage advertisers' concerns by saying that it's going to be cool on Twitter. So I'll read you his announcement today to Twitter advertisers, what Elon Musk wrote. He said, I wanted to reach out personally to share my motivation in acquiring Twitter. There has been much speculation about why I bought Twitter and what I think about advertising. Most of it has been wrong. The reason I acquired Twitter is because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner without resorting to violence. There is currently great danger that social media will splinter into far right and far left wing echo chambers that generate more hate and divide our society. In the relentless pursuit of clicks, much of traditional media is fueled and catered to these polarized extremes, as they believe that is what brings in the money. But in doing so, the opportunity for dialogue is lost. That is why I bought Twitter. I didn't do it because it would be easy. I didn't do it to make more money. I did it to try to help humanity, whom I love. And I do so with humility, recognizing that failure in pursuing this goal, despite our best efforts, is a very real possibility. That said, Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences! Exclamation point. In addition to adhering to the laws of the land, our platform must be warm and welcoming to all, where you can choose your desired experience according to your preferences, just as you can choose, for example, to see movies or play video games ranging from all ages to mature. I also very much believe that advertising, when done right, can delight, entertain, and inform you. It can show you a service or product or medical treatment that you never knew existed, but is right for you. For this to be true, it is essential to show Twitter users advertising that is as relevant as possible to their needs. Low relevancy ads are spam, but highly relevant ads are actually content. Fundamentally, Twitter aspires to be the most respected advertising platform in the world that strengthens your brand and grows your enterprise. To everyone who has partnered with us, I thank you. Let us build something extraordinary together. So he says it will not become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. And he says that you will be able to choose your desired experience according to your preferences. So there will be an adult Twitter and a safe space Twitter, it sounds like. And how they're going to figure out how to do that is probably not super straightforward, because they are going to have to moderate, because they have to moderate just to stay in the App Store. So you have to say you're going to not allow racism or anti-Semitism or anti-LGBTQ. You'll have to say that you're going to censor some of that stuff for you to remain on the App Store. And for people who are waiting just to be able to say the N-word and stuff, it's probably not going to go that way. Although there might be a version. See, the reason I say it's complicated is the App Store makes it complicated because you can't not have censorship and have your app in the App Store. And so even if there's a version of it without censorship, you wouldn't be able to access that version through regular means potentially. So it's going to be a complicated. It's going to be a pretty complicated enterprise, I think, for Elon to do it right. But there's a lot of potential in Twitter. In addition to as a social media place that has more free speech and maybe can have more success because of that. It also could be used for, they could expand messaging and also payments. They could also do something with payments. And given that Elon Musk has a history with PayPal, he could decide to do something with payments and or cryptocurrency. So, but basically, I mean, it's a big deal that he supposedly takes over tomorrow. So I don't know if people are going to be allowed back on the platform immediately starting tomorrow or what. But it's happening. Apparently it's real. It's really going through, and he's really going to make changes. So we'll have to see exactly how fast we'll get back on the platform. And then one of the replies to his tweet was from Zuby, who says Twitter should also find a way to monetize top creators. And yeah, I've mentioned that before. It would be good to have it be monetized somehow. However, they could do that for people that are really Twitter savvy, that are really big Twitter people. And Elon Musk responded to that, is what I mean. He said, Zuby said they should compensate, and Elon Musk said, absolutely. So they might be integrating some kind of payment stuff in the future, more payment stuff into Twitter. All right. I think that's what I have for you today. Oh, the New York Post got hacked today. If that matters to you. No, not even hacked. It was taken over by a user on the inside who published things like, we must assassinate AOC. So that happened today. We must assassinate AOC for America, it said on the New York Post today, after an employee inside the organization took over and went rogue. All right, I'm going to check my Buy Me a Coffees. You can still support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil and dropping a note. And I will see what people left now, and then I will open up the phone to take phone calls in case anybody wants to call in today. Thanks, Brian M., who got 2 coffees, who says, forget all the politicians. Yay, 2024. Let's flip the script. So you're pulling for yay in 2024. I don't think he has a chance. Elvis C., thanks for the coffees, who says, thank you, my brother. Hello from San Mateo. I lived in San Mateo before. So hello, brother. Thanks, Kate Millpointer, who got a coffee. And that's what I have for coffees today. And then thanks on Rockfin for the tips. Thanks, Vogan Filter. So love the daily shows again. Very entertaining and informative. Hope you can make this work. Thank you. I'm working on it. You help out a lot, Vogan Filter, because you tip like every show. Thanks, Jacob's Ladder. Also tips all the time on Rockfin. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, everybody who supports the show. We are truly independent media. We're truly independent media. We don't even have sponsors. So your support is what we get by going to Buy Me a Coffee, or you can go to truthclothing.io too and pick up t-shirts. All right, I'll open the phone, see if anybody wants to call in. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you guys. And I'll check YouTube. I don't think EA has a chance in 2024. I wouldn't vote. I wouldn't bet on him. I think he's screwed, basically, for what he said. I mean, unless he steps out of it or something. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Nigger.
Damn. How did you get that phone number? Okay. We'll see if we get any other calls. There's a person that prank calls the show. Hey, you're here.
Hey, Nathan, it's Craven Crypto. Craven that crypto in a Craven manner.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, I thought we would. I've been gambling. I thought we might talk about gambling. I see you like to gamble on the politics events.
Yep. What do you like to gamble on?
Well, I do that. I kind of bet on politics for fun. I actually bet on sports every day. I actually was a online poker pro from about 2004 to 2016. And
really?
I quit because they. Oh yeah, I'm actually a huge gambler, man. I mean,
cool.
I'm what you call an advantage gambler.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, I play the odds and I look at things objectively. Like I don't even have any favorite teams. I could care less about sports, but I make a significant amount of money doing it.
Do you really? You actually win at sports betting? Nobody does that.
Yep,
wow.
I do.
Wow,
it's possible.
Wow.
I'm like in the 1%, man.
Wow, that's
so
crazy.
like let's take politics for example. Like here's a bad bet that I made, right? So Republicans take the House and Senate.
Mm-hmm.
It was 60 cents on predicted. Now it's 70 cents.
Yes.
So like what I'll do is I just got to say the interesting thing about betting politics is like unlike sports, the odds are pretty much they're pretty easy to compute the odds unless like the quarterback gets injured in practice or something like that, then it'll change the odds, but they don't change that much. But like I noticed in politics, it'll change. Like for example, this Fetterman Oz thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I say, you gotta be objective and you gotta take your emotions out of it. Like I bet on Oz to win, and I got what was it? 27.50 to win $25. So that's pretty good odds. That's like close to like I mean the way that there's like 4 or 5 different odds formats. I don't want to get into that, but
right.
Yeah, like that one I would actually prefer for Fetterman to win.
Really? Yeah, when I bet on politics, I definitely I try to take my bias out of it because I have bet on Democrats before. Like I bet on Biden to win, and
yeah, I remember you saying that you scored on the Democrats last time, and now you can score on the Republicans, and I guess you can kind of use the swinging pendulum theory that we're at that point now where
right.
Everything's just too far left, man. It's just insane. But with Fetterman, it's literally like idiocracy at this point.
I know. No, that's such a crazy race because it's between 2 people who are both pretty bad. And so I know about bet on Oz, but I love Oz, but I still bet on him.
Yeah, I saw how like Oz was like, if your 8-year-old boy comes to you and tells you you're a girl, are you going to be an evil Nazi and tell him he's, messed in the head?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. It'll be cool to have Fetterman in there. Just at least we can have some comedic relief.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that kind of thing. Yeah.
Like I'm hearing people say we shouldn't feel sorry for him because he took the V and maybe that's what did it to him, and who knows, but I mean just watching those clips I feel sorry for the guy. Like my humanity is just like, man, I mean this poor guy, he's just up there, he can barely string a sentence together. He makes George W. Bush sound coherent.
I know, right? I know. People don't remember how bad George W. Bush was. But he does. He makes Biden seem kind of coherent, even though Biden's mostly incoherent too. But he makes Biden seem good by comparison.
Yeah, you know how he did that media interview, but he was in front of that computer, and you were saying that actually Fetterman sounds coherent. That's because he was being, he had that computer program helping him though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think on the debate he had that going for him.
They had some kind of closed captioning, but he just didn't do very well. The debate was a really bad format from him.
I see. So I guess with betting on politics, the problem is that there's only really I mean, it's like every 4 years or every 2 years, you know?
Yeah, I know. That's the problem, right? You can't really make a
The-
career out of it because you can only bet so often and you can only bet so much because the markets are really shallow. Like if you wanted to bet
Yeah.
$1,000 or something, it's actually pretty hard because there's just not enough, there's not enough depth to the market. So yeah, you
Oh, I
can't
hear
make
you. Actually, you're talking about Kanye West. I actually bet, like for example, I'm on a site called betonline.ag,
Mhm.
and by the way, it's a Bitcoin site, and I mean, if you're going to get on a centralized site like predicted, BetOnline is just as good, and I can vouch for that they pay. And by the way, you can play poker on there too.
Oh, really? Okay. So I got to look into that. I can,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can hear
I
from
think I can
America.
email you a list of recommended sites. So,
Okay. Yeah. Do that.
but like the thing about that is you're right about it being shallow. And another way you might hear it is it's low liquidity because
Yeah.
I bet $7 on Kanye West to be president on Bet Online, and that would return like $5,250.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, that's insane odds. But then I was seeing that on Players Only, you could bet $10 and you would get $7,500 if he became president. So
Yeah,
I mean, to
wow.
me, that's like
It's like throwing away money, though.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's possible. I think it's actually great. Do I think it's a greater than 5% chance or about a 5% chance? Yes, I do. It's very
Really?
low, but
That's crazy. You're crazy.
it's possible in my mind. Like that's how I was saying, you know, you got to play the odds. Like you have to say that's the hardest thing is computing the probability of something.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you're at war with mathematics itself. And if you can figure out the right probability and then you look at the odds, like any bet can be good if the odds are right. Any bet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As long as it's not physically impossible.
Right.
Like it's impossible for a quarterback to make 1,000 touchdowns in a game, for example.
Right.
So yeah, you could get into playing a poker, but people would like you're saying, would people watch you gamble? That's the problem. Is it just takes like 1 second to make a bet on predicted though.
Yeah. Right. Right. Exactly.
But if you were to play poker though, you really probably ought to look at getting a delay because
you'd have to run a delay. You'd have to run a delay of at least probably a couple minutes, right, for a full hand.
I'd say at least a minute or 30 seconds.
It'd have to be more than 30 seconds because if somebody actually
you're right.
If somebody in the same game knew that you were streaming, then they would see your cards. So
did you ever play online poker back in the day, Nathan?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Did you kind of just quit after? You remember in 2011 when they shut down all the big sites in America?
Yes, I kind of do remember. Yeah.
That was really bad.
I used to play, and then they basically banned it. And also, like, I don't win, so I mean, I don't win overall. I'm proficient at poker, like I really understand it and everything, but I'm not.
What game do you like?
I'm not good enough. I play Hold'em.
Did you ever play like 7-Card Stud or Omaha?
No, I don't mess around with those games. I just play Hold'em.
Do you know how I got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency?
No, maybe not.
Well, in 2011 when they shut down the sites, and by the way, do you remember how they were looking at the whole cards? There was like a cheating program.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the problem is that they found out that they were cheating, and I think a lot of normies just said, screw this.
Well, I wouldn't play poker online anymore because of AI. Because it's too easy. Anybody can cheat using AI now, so I wouldn't play.
Well, I had a program called Hold'em Manager, and it would, but when I was doing it professionally, you get a lot of AI help, and it will tell you like what percentage of hands they play. Did they play a lot? Did they play a little? Did they raise a lot? Did they not raise? Things like that. But now the programs are like really, like it's really hard to win money at poker. That's why I quit.
Is it really hard? Because it's so because it's so competitive, right? Because everybody.
Oh
yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's like you're not better because the people that play they learned how to study the game. They learn the size of the bets to make. They learn what to do in different situations. So it's harder to be better than the other players at your table, right? Because just the competition's better. And then some people cheat.
Right, because if you might have 3 guys at the same table.
Yeah, right.
colluding and then telling each other
right.
each other's cards and
Right,
raising and re-raising and getting you out of the hand. And
right.
yeah, like I got into Bitcoin because, to return to that topic, because when they shut it down in 2011, I was like dying to play poker, and I found a
Oh, I
site called
see.
Seals with Clubs Bitcoin Poker.
Right.
And I was
That's
like, what the
why.
hell is this?
That's
And
cool.
back then it was literally a quarter of Bitcoin. And I watched it in those days, I watched it go from like $1 to $40 and then crash back to like $3. And I'm like, at that point I was like, man, this is bull crap, man. You can't, how's this thing going to work? And then of course, like one time I won a tournament and I won 25 Bitcoins.
Really?
And then I sold them at $25 a Bitcoin. So I like sold for $625, and I was like, oh wow, this is so awesome. But then
Right.
now I feel like a fool.
Oh man, yeah, that's crazy.
It's not as bad as the pizza story where the guy bought a pizza for 10,000 Bitcoins, but it's
10,000.
like my story. And
yeah, that is funny.
it was crazy. Like, it was really crazy back in the day. There used to be this thing called the Bitcoin store. And I sent 12 Bitcoins to the Bitcoin store by accident because I was doing copy and paste to try and deposit into Seals with Clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And like I emailed the guy and he sent me the 12 Bitcoins back.
Wow.
Just like,
that's cool.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, that guy is so honest. And back then they were like, when that happened to me, I think they were $100. And I was just like, oh God, I just lost $1,200. But yeah, sometimes there are some honest people in it, but of course there's a lot of scams. And do you ever like I've got a short on the euro through we never really talk about, I never hear you talk about decentralized finance, but there's a way on Ethereum I shorted the euro.
Oh really? And I'm into
I'm
into
you know
DeFi,
how the like, have you is there a way on Robinhood to like short the pound?
I don't know.
You never looked at that?
I don't think so. Probably not. You probably can't do FX stuff like that.
Have you ever traded with leverage?
No. Oh no, no, no. I don't mess around
See,
with that.
So that's what you can do on DeFi. So like what I did was I put $100 into this site called Quinta, and it runs on Ethereum on what's called a layer 2. So you get cheaper like fees.
Mm-hmm.
And I did what's called 10 times leverage. So my $100 is basically like a $1,000 bet on it going down. Now, if the euro goes up to $1.07, I'll lose that $100.
Right.
But if it were to go to it's like at 99 cents now. So I can't sit here and tell you what I would make. But if it went to like 80 cents, I would make a lot of money.
Cool. Well, that's fun. That's cool, man. You're into cool stuff.
Yeah, I should send you. I'll send you a lift the veil thing, like everything I told you about. So you're probably not going to remember it, and it's really fun. Like DeFi is really cool. I mean, and one more thing I wanted to say is like to the people who think that crypto is controlled, there's a lot of movements by the banks to squash it. And like in Congress, there's this guy Sam Bankman-Friedman, and he's like he owns a lot of Bitcoin exchanges and crypto. He's this cryptocurrency exchange. He's trying to buy them all up. He's trying to pass a bill and that would say that you can't do DeFi anymore without a license. And on Ethereum, it's just a program. There's no human involved. It's just a program, right? So that would kill DeFi. So I would just say, if this thing is really controlled, why would they be trying to kill it?
Yeah, right. No, I think I always tell people DeFi is legit.
And you get like, the stable coins, you know what stable coins are?
Yep. I hold them.
Yeah. Like I'm getting like 17% APR on my stable coins, man.
Careful. It can turn into Luna though.
It can. That's the problem. It could turn into like the US Terra Luna thing.
Yeah.
But I'm using the one, I'm using DAI, and that's DAI.
Yeah. DAI is cool. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I keep my eye on it. Like I'm ready to. How fast did the Luna thing crash? Was it within an hour, or was it like a day, or I don't remember?
It took long enough that I put out a warning about it. Went 97 cents. I was like, oh, it looks like the peg is gone. And, and so there was time.
Yeah,
there was time to get out.
Yeah, like DAI, you just like keep an eye on my DeFi investments every day. So it would have to be, but I mean, it could be at work, and I do, how to do in real life. I'm a plumber's helper.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool.
And you talk about crap jobs, you know, I mean, I make money to DeFi and gambling thing, but I actually get way more fulfillment from plumbing.
That's good. Good. That sounds like a good, fulfilling job.
I
That's
mean,
good.
not all jobs are crap, you know. I
No,
mean,
that's
some jobs
true.
are real, and you're really doing something for somebody, and you
Yes.
learn skills that way, and
Yes.
like you think like if in case all this stuff crashes and crypto goes to hell, at least I have some skills, right?
Yep. That's right. Exactly.
All
Good job,
right,
man.
well, I'll probably talk for long enough. It
Cool.
was nice to talk to you again.
Good talking to you too.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for
Take it
letting me
easy.
know about that site. I checked it out.
Yeah, I'll send you a list of cool stuff. So.
All right. Cool, man. See you, Craven.
Oh, bye-bye.
I can play poker online. Interesting. Yeah, it's there. All these rules against gambling in the United States. In the UK, you can gamble on everything. It's not even weird here. But here you can gamble on politics. They made it legal, but the market is really shallow, so you can't bet a lot. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, Nathan, it's Little Round Box. How are you, man?
Hey, man, what's going on?
I just wanted to touch base with the Kanye stuff.
Yes.
You know, I do know that because I'm Jewish and I grew up Jewish, and I know a lot of Jews, and a lot of them are lawyers, and a lot of them are doctors, and a lot of them are business people.
Right.
And I think that the tradition of study culturally, whether they're genetically more intelligent or not, just the discipline of studying makes them really good at contracts, really good at passing exams for medical schools, really good at business. And so that might be a reason why there's overrepresentation.
Mm-hmm.
But I also see the same thing in emerging communities of Asians and South Asians, Indians. In my area, like many of the doctors' practices have been bought up by Indian doctor practices, and they're culturally very similar in their appreciation of education and study, and those things make people successful.
Yep.
So generationally, the entertainment industry had been a refuge for Jewish people who had no other means of employment. They were carnies, and they were working in the early days of movies, and they progressed. So the studios became overpopulated with Jewish people because that's the work that they could get at a time where it was an unseemly and almost decadent profession.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's possible in 20, 30 years that, Bollywood will overtake Hollywood as the production of most definitely computer generated graphic movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then there will be Indian lawyers working for Indian firms.
Yep, that's
so
true.
I think the overrepresentation can easily be said that it's a cultural artifact. And if you invert the problem, you say, why aren't there other people in it? It's because they didn't want to be. They were doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for the times that I had started businesses and raised venture capital, that most of the venture capital firms that I went to were not Jewish. They were people that were looking at entrepreneurs that may have been Jewish. The people that lend money to, a Facebook or even a Twitter, they're not Jewish firms. So the money is coming in from other places.
Right.
They're just looking for intelligent individuals that have novel ideas. And when you look at the transactional benefit of, let's say, internet advertising or any other type of transactional processing, you get to this basic unit economic of how quickly can you get to money changing hands. And a good business model would be as close to that as possible. And traditionally, that's what Jews were always culturally inclined to do, whether it be diamond trading or money lending or contracts.
Right.
So I think that there is this is like, you could look at it and invert the problem and say, yeah, there are a lot of Jews in these certain industries, but why aren't other people in them? And is it an opportunity for others to do something similar? Or is there just a tip of the trend? In fact, I think that the observation about Jews being overrepresented in media is a historical perspective and not necessarily a future-looking one.
Oh, like you think that it won't always be that way?
No, because, each generation, like the same thing's true. If my father was a doctor, I might be inclined to be a doctor, but I may also be inclined to do something different. So each generation moves towards a new opportunity. and maybe the discipline of study and the almost the neurotic nature of debating, which is ingrained in rabbinic Judaism, can be applied to something else.
Right. You think like
I mean,
what is it you think that
Go ahead.
makes Jewish people more successful at other things like podcasting and being like on Twitter, like microblogging or journalism, those kinds of things? Like, because like Jews are overrepresented in journalism too, and a lot of them are great journalists. What do you think accounts for that?
Well, from one perspective, I think that the ability to boil anything down to its unit economic and understand how it makes money is something that a lot of people choose not to do. They do it because they're passionate about writing or they're passionate about their art or whatever it is, without any concern about what the transactional value is. So when you look at finance or contracts or anything or any type of business that involves cash, it's smart to be wise to those things and understand how to negotiate quickly at the fraction of a cent. And that's ingrained in the culture. That's ingrained in not only the Jewish culture, but in South Asian culture. If you ever travel to the third world, those people know math better than anybody else because they know how to save money, hold on to money, and to negotiate. And that's because of the way that they were brought up culturally, and it's a necessary skill. So I think that, to your point about journalism and other forms, there's just an appreciation of education and the ability to orate and to write are also ingrained in the Jewish culture. So it's possible. I haven't really looked at that. My experience has been from a business perspective and the people that I've dealt with. And believe me, there's nothing more annoying than to have to negotiate in a room full of Jewish people. They'll debate you till there's no air left in the room. Because culturally, that's what they're inclined to do. That's what you go to Hebrew school, you learn about the Bible, and those that are more orthodox are also trained in like the yeshiva method, where everything is questioned. There's nothing that's written down in Jewish law that can't be questioned. And a lot of the things that are misquoted from the Mishnah and the Talmud as being like heretical are really debates. They're just debates. And you can say the most obscene and far-fetched thing because you're really trying to see where the limits of the boundaries are. How much can you stretch? And then on the Hasidim and all these people that are always looking to bend the laws so that they can do the things that they want to do on the Sabbath. It's ridiculous, but that's allowable, so they do it. But most mainstream Jewish people really just are brought up in a cultural environment where those things are appreciated, and maybe epigenetically or just through cultural exposure, or have a proficiency that other people don't. And then to your point, when the creative arts, I think that a lot of other people just choose not to recognize that you do things for money. That's what we're supposed to do. If you do it for passion, you're gonna go broke.
Right. Interesting.
So I look and I watch all these things. The other thing that concerns me the most, though, is this is like a canary in the coal mine. If you look back through history, every time people start pointing the finger at the Jewish conspiracy, some bad shit happens to everyone.
Really?
And that's what I think definitely.
So you're concerned. So are you concerned then with what, like the dialogue that started along with what Kanye West has been saying then?
Yeah, and I'm concerned about what you've been discussing too, because it's funny, I enjoy it. And as somebody who enjoys laughing at myself, but there's a lot of people that take it seriously. And I think that, there's a lot of misinformation and memes that really do not promote tolerance. And I also appreciate the fact that you recognize that there's good Jewish people and bad Jewish people. But if the finger was pointed at Chinese or Asian people or Indian people or Protestants, I mean, really, it could be pointed anywhere, and you could find a segment of the population that has overrepresentation or some type of corruption or abuse.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, that's one thing I recognize is that there are people out there. There are a significant number of people out there who buy into the conspiracy. And like I said, I don't ever mean to be to feed into that. It's just like I have thoughts about it. Like I just think about it. I'm like, oh, it's really interesting. Like, I wonder what it is. And that's why I wonder about the IQ thing and stuff, is because it's just true that there is this overrepresentation and stuff, which I think is fair to talk about. But
there is an anomaly with Ashkenazi Jews of having a statistically higher intelligence, but they also have a statistically higher incidence of mental illness.
Really?
I mean, they're extreme. They're neurotic. There's a higher rate of schizophrenia. The higher rate of suicide. There's a lot of dysfunctional people in that community that are highly intelligent that can't even hold a job because of that. And if you look at the Hasidic community in New York and other places where they have generations of inbreeding, they support each other. There's people that could not function in the world otherwise because of the fact that they have succumbed to genetic inferiority due to inbreeding in the community. Tay-Sachs, for an example, there's 3 or 4 major diseases that only exist in that community.
Really interesting.
So it's an anomaly. I think the hyper-intelligent is a side effect of the neurotic mental illness that people are it's like I laugh and say like dimensional vampires, but if you imagine. You throw like a box of toothpicks on the ground and the vampire has to pick them all up. Well, that's the same type of illness that a lot of these genetically altered people have because they've developed mental illness that is generational. And that's not my theory. That is my observation, having been part of the community my entire life, and I'm over 50 years old.
Interesting.
So. And I think it's observable,
right?
And I think that it was observable 60 years ago, and I think it was observable 100 years ago, and 200 years ago, and it's easy to point the finger at the weirdos, and that's what happens. So that's what's happening right now. It's an easy thing to do. It's by generalizing it, and I wish that this was a conspiracy because I've never made a dime off of being Jewish ever. No one's ever called me up for secret meetings.
Right.
I haven't gotten any type of special treatment,
right.
and it's never been a factor.
Right. Do you think I've been fair? Do you think the things I say? I got in trouble for hate speech. Like, did I say anything that you think was unfair?
No, I don't. I think that just like anything is fair game in speech, as far as I'm concerned. I used to listen into that horrible neo-Nazi TDS podcast when it was still available on whatever podcatcher I got, and those people were ridiculously anti-Semitic. And I mean, that's all that they would talk about is everything, in Hollywood being Jewish and everything, oh, that's too Jewish, and then they would make skits about, Jewish people. And it's just like, and I would listen to it because that's a bellwether of what's to come. Because people go there for entertainment and they're being ingrained with misinformation. And, if you look at the chat logs of DLive or whatever, when any of these topics have ever come up, you always find some guy in there talking about, something anti-Semitic, and it just goes on past.
Yep.
But it propagates. It propagates.
Yep. I hear you. Well, yeah, I'm opposed to, what they call anti-Semitism for sure. And I see it. It really exists out there. So I appreciate you calling in. You said some stuff that's really interesting.
But the other thing I want you to recognize too, because you have a broader view of everything. I think, you're younger than me, but still of an age where you can see that a lot of these things are clown hands, where you look over here so you don't see what's happening behind you or over there. And this is always like that. Every time the anti-Semitism card comes up, it's always a clown hand to try to guide your attention away from what's really going on.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's going to be abuses, and then there might be like, another Kristallnacht and windows being broken in Jewish neighborhoods. But while all that's going on, something else is going on behind you.
Right.
So be warned.
Right. Exactly. Well, I super appreciate the call.
No problem, man.
I think it was some really good information. So yeah, that's, I see the same thing you're talking about. Yeah. I worry about it too. People give me a hard time, like saying that even people give me a hard time just for saying that Kanye kind of deserves to be canceled. You know, but at least from the brands, you know, not censored, but that if the brands don't want to work with him, then I can understand that based on what he said, basically.
Well, I'm sure there's a lawyer somewhere that happens to be Jewish that's screaming in the boardroom saying they can't do business with him.
Yeah.
And that just inflames the problem.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, he'd burn himself out anyway, because whether he's super intelligent and just way off the mark, or if he's on the mark, or if he's off his meds, whatever it is, it's ridiculous, and his ignorance is overshadowing his actual genius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. So
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man.
Time, Nate. I love your show. I listen every night. I talk to you once in a while, but I'm always impressed with your capabilities and your intelligence, and I'll continue to support you.
Well, it means a lot. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
All right.
You have a good night.
All right. Yeah, it means a lot being complimented on your intelligence by a Jewish person, since you know that they're smart, right? No, I'm just kidding. But statistically speaking, I think it's more than just cultural. But it is also cultural. I think it's more than just cultural. I may have been discriminated against once in my acting career because of not being Jewish. I may have been. Hey, you're on the air.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Good.
Nathan?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, not much. Last call was kind of interesting.
Yes, very.
Kind of sounds like some Jewish friends I have.
He said some things that if it wasn't a Jewish person saying it, like about the inbreeding and stuff, I was like, well, I'm glad it's a Jewish person saying that and not me, because that would that would be really messed up. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this may not be the most politically correct take, obviously, and your audience isn't, but I mean, my Jewish friends I've had, I don't like see them regularly anymore. In the past, I was around them more, but there's definitely they come right out and tell you they're Jewish, like right away, usually, and they're proud of it. It's like a lot of them, it's being pride. It's like they self-identify as Jewish, usually like right away. I mean, there's even that infamous Morgan Freeman interview where Mark Wallace or whatever says he's white, and he's, oh, I'm not white, I'm Jewish,
Right.
So
right.
But I mean, it's kind of silly to not think that there's an in-group preference when you have that kind of pride around your identity, your ethnic or religious identity. I mean, even when they say they're atheists, it's still kind of a religious identification, because they're still in a way relegated by the culture. It's like they're connected. I feel like to the culture, they feel like this romanticism about Israel oftentimes. A friend of mine even did that. What is it called? The
return home or whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever, the birthright.
Birthright.
Yeah, birthright thing or whatever.
Yeah,
where they go to Israel. And he even admitted that it was like, he's like, oh yeah, there was an agenda there.
Yeah,
he
it's
went
like
there. Oh yeah,
brainwashing. Yeah.
And then and he's like, oh, this is like definitely trying to like, and okay, when you see that going on, and that kind of the way that like mainstream just Jewish people that are just culturally Jewish, maybe not religiously or anything, but they still, I think they create like a lot of times protection towards the not so just regular, like honest people, that the people that are colluding in government, in media, and they're obviously colluding, and they're obviously going to hook up people that have that in-group preference in media and politics and in business. It's just, would you, of course, with that thing right now going on in Utah with the Mormons that are accused of these horrendous things, a lot of Mormons probably don't even want to hear about it. It's like, oh, no, they don't. It's like they don't want anything incriminating, something that even though they're not guilty of, that it's like they don't want to admit that there are parts of the culture that might be corrupt or dishonest.
Right.
But then meanwhile, the people in power, billionaires, millionaires, whatever, most billionaires mostly, and people in politicians who are maybe they're just worth a bunch of money. I don't know, but they basically just have, like, you can't accuse them of any collusion or anything because it's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, right. Well, it is.
It's just like they have
I
this
mean,
like protection that no one else has.
It's
not
yeah.
fair.
Well, so I'll say that it's not that no one else has, because LGBTQ has the same kind of protection now.
Yeah.
Certain groups have more protection than other groups. It's true.
But they have not nearly as much power
But-
as like Zionist Jews do in the government and media, though.
Yeah, a lot of groups don't, right? So I mean, I mean, what can I say? I don't know. I got to be careful what we say on YouTube exactly, but on the other hand, there are people who blame the Jews for stuff, who are allowed to get away with it. Kanye West wasn't censored yet. Like, he wasn't censored. He was platformed. He was platformed by a Jewish person. And like Lex Friedman, for example, is a really successful Jewish guy in media. And I feel like he kind of earned it himself, as far as I can tell. And I don't think I don't think he's colluding or part of any conspiracy or anything. And he had his own points of view. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much there is, real collusion.
Yeah.
Stuff,
well, I don't think Kanye West has any problem with Alex Friedman or, Dave Rubin or whoever. But he's obviously has a problem with the people messing with his money let's just come out and say, people that put out like blaxploitation movies in like the 60s and 70s, and people that fund all the like, violent rap music and stuff, that he's obviously kind of realizing, there's like the same people are always behind this cultural degradation of the people that represent.
Yeah, but they're not the only people behind the cultural degradation, though. There are also plenty of like white people or
and I say obviously the people themselves within the culture are like, they're taking the bait. I mean, because it's like, it just feels like it's all a political game. And obviously any group, like whether it's Mormons, LGBT, Black, or Jews, they're going to use certain things to protect them against criticism if they can, because it's just in-group preference, right? And
sure.
And of course, though, if you have that much money and power and influence, it's a lot more dangerous than, certain other groups, in my opinion. And obviously, I want there to be light shown on the corruption in the globalist sphere, and within a lot of these corporations or these media, they are globalists. They're global entities. So it's like just kind of ridiculous to see that they really actually care about Americans. When we're actually, it just seems like keep giving money to Israel, keep giving, don't look here, don't look at, this collusion, this corruption that's going on. And because we can't, they basically said you can't criticize George Soros years ago because it's anti-Semitic.
No,
it's just a red flag right there. It's a red flag. It's ridiculous to me to think anyone's going to go after, like, I love my Jewish friends and I would never want I would like die and protect them. I would shield them with my body. I would never let anyone hurt anyone that I care about because I know they're a good person, but that doesn't mean that Kanye or whoever can't criticize the culture and how it kind of
he did
to defend.
So he did, and he was allowed to, and then some people who worked with him decided to end their relationship with him because of what he said. So
I think he was willing to lose that because I think he's just
yeah, he was kind of done with it anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate the input.
Anyways, yeah, I didn't mean to be too controversial. It's like you can't just get a free pass because of your identity. It's just not.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what religion, what race you are. You can't, like, I mean, obviously, and if you self-identify as a Jew, and then you run most of the media, and then you say it's the Jewish media,
right?
Like,
right.
I mean, it's not a racial slur. It's like, I mean, I don't.
Well, yeah, but it can be. It has been used as one in the past, right? So it has been used as one in the past. It's not entirely accurate to say. It's not really accurate to say the Jewish media because it's represented by a lot more people than just Jews. So I think what Kanye said was I don't think he said, even though I think everybody can agree that it's wrong for artists to get fucked over, that it's just that the way that he decided to say it is what people call anti-Semitic. And I feel like, yes, people shouldn't get a pass because people shouldn't get a pass for whatever reason. And Kanye, because I could argue that Kanye should get a pass because of mental health issues. But even though he has mental health issues, I think he should be held accountable for what he says. And other people should be held accountable for things they say, for example, about white people. Like, I think people should be held more accountable for that. So I don't know if I mind so much Ye being held accountable for saying things that that can be harmful. Like, there are ways he could have approached things that would have been better, I feel like. So, but I agree with you. Nobody should get a pass.
We're still having this conversation, and I think that needs to happen because people need to realize that there's a lot of people that have that identity, that have a lot of money, that don't represent your neighbor or anybody, that use that as protection. And I mean, our government, like Ron DeSantis or whatever, is like, and the whole bill against you can't none of that criticism of Israel stuff. It's like, and we're giving all this money to Israel, and who even knows, that money could be just coming back, funneled back through like their buddies in the media and in Hollywood and whatever. It's just it's obviously there's collusion going on.
Right. I hear you.
I don't know.
I hear you.
Anyways, I think Anomaly is doing some pretty good work on. I respect Anomaly, and he's been on this topic like way more than anybody else.
Is he still talking about it on YouTube? Is he still talking about it?
Yeah, he won't give it up. He keeps playing Kanye.
So he hasn't gotten. I don't know why I got a strike for hate speech. I really can't get over that. It makes me so uncomfortable.
He actually did get monetization taken away on Facebook, though.
Yeah, I heard that. But even then, he didn't even really. He doesn't even really have receipts for Facebook canceling him because of what he said about Ye. But okay, it's good that he's still talking about Facebook. Like, I hope that what I'm doing isn't going to get me in trouble again with YouTube. Because,
well, yeah, I don't think so. I think it's like, I love my Jewish friends.
Right.
They're super talented. They're smart. They're like people like me. There's no way I would ever say that, oh, they're like, villainous or anything. They're just like regular people. But people in Israel that are politicians there or run the government there that are doing pretty shitty things to, the people, their neighbors, and the same thing we do to our neighbors. Like, we can criticize America for doing that. We should be able to criticize Israel for doing that.
Right.
And we should be able to, criticize billionaires that don't have any necessary allegiance to our country, that reside in our country or have connections with it.
Right.
And that's all that's what the discussion needs to come out and stop. And I just wish that regular, honest Jewish people would not come to the defense of these people that are not looking out for their interests at all. In fact, they would probably sacrifice them just as easily as they did it back in the 1930s and 40s. I don't know. It's just, if you look at the Rothschild and everything and their part in World War II, it's not like I don't think they really gave a shit about their own people, their supposed own people. So I'm just saying.
All right. Well, hopefully my channel stays up.
there's no hate in my heart, man.
I
No hate
know.
in my heart.
I
I just
know.
want peace, and I want corruption,
I
and
know.
people that don't have truthful intent to be just exposed. That's all. That's
Yep.
all I'm
All
saying.
right. All right. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Good show.
Thanks, man.
Take care, man.
All right. See ya. I hate censorship so much that I can't have like a regular conversation with somebody about whatever they want to talk about. But I think, do you guys, is the show, let me do a poll real quick. Was the show too spicy for YouTube? I'm going to do a poll and then I'll decide. But actually, I heard Nick Ricchetta said you should not delete videos. So I wouldn't know whether, anyway, I don't freaking know. I put out a poll. People can vote on it real quick. Thanks everybody who tuned in. I appreciate it. Thanks for the input. We got some good calls. Very interesting calls. Thanks Fruit, who got coffee, says excellent show tonight. This is understuck. Hope you don't get dinged. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Fruit. Appreciate it. Thanks, Coco. Said, sir, watching when you give voice to Isaac Cappy. Love your show. Thanks, Coco. Appreciate it. Rest in peace, Isaac Cappy. I'll see what the poll says. It's too bad because people like to talk about things. And thanks for the tip, RC Striker, over on. Okay, good. People say no. Great. I'll keep it up then. See, I don't even have, the problem is I don't even have like a sense of it. I don't even know because I don't know why they gave me a strike last time. That's the problem. I don't know why they gave me a strike in the first place. I don't know what I said. So that's why I asked. Okay. You guys say no. I'll leave it up. It's cool. Thanks everybody. Thanks people who support the show. Thanks callers. And we'll bring you the next show tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here. Lift the veil. Follow me on YouTube. Give a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell, etc. And for now, that is what it is.